Social rejection. Social rejection is a huge issue within our society. In order to understand how social rejection occurs, we need to find the start, and it starts with social interactions. According to Mary Gifford Smith, a psychologist from Pittsburgh School of Medicine, she states that social interactions are most important during the adolescent age, and by joining clubs, sports teams, or forming friend groups, they're able to increase those social interactions. With increased social interactions, you would think that fitting in would be easy, but that's not the case. According to Joanna Cannon, a psychologist from Leicester Medical School, people have different versions of themselves in order to fit in, because they feel that they need to fit into that certain group at any cost. But something that they're eventually unprepared for is rejection. Rejection, according to Lisa M. Youngblade from Florida University, 10 to 15% of adolescents experience peer rejection. This can cause long-term mental and physical effects on adolescents. Someone who may have been affected by this is Goggle, the main character in the book called Namesake. In this stimulus article, The Namesake, Goggle says being a different culture makes him feel restrained from being a part of the American culture. This can be described as peer rejection. When he decides to change his name, he conforms to his peers, which relates to the other article of the development of cognitive neuroscience. In this article, it states that peers are more likely to conform to positive information from their peers. From reading these two articles, I came up with the question of, can social rejection lead to unwanted long-term mental effects in adolescence? The first effect that I found was musculoskeletal pain, or MSK. MSK occurs in muscles, joints, tendons, ligaments, and nerves, and when it affects the nerves, it can slow down cognitive processing. According to Henrik Jaer, psychotherapist from Ulsmith, states that adolescents have a higher chance of developing this due to higher levels of stress. If you look at the chart, over 50% of MSK pain occurs in the head and the spine, and with 15 out of that 45% occurring in the head, where the brain is located. Although this is usually associated with somatotypes and sex, Jair's research shows that rejection is a modifier, but rejection does not only modify this. It affects depression. According to Belinda Platt from Yale University, depression is the inability to downregulate negative emotional responses to stress. And when an adolescent is rejected by their peers, it increases their stress. She found that depression can be found in the subgenual region of the anterior cortex. According to Carrie L. from California University, exclusion or rejection is again a modifier, like I stated earlier. And this usually occurs in online platforms, which she was able to find in her research. Online platforms do not only cause depression, but it causes irregular behavioral patterns, the most common of these being antisocialness and aggression. Hackenstein from Uppsala University states that when growing up, their behavioral adjustment from aggressiveness and antisocialness can lead to even more rejection in adulthood. However, Anne Travers, PhD, argues that you can prevent the effects of peer rejection. She was able to find in her research that help from communities and parents can help prevent these effects. When the help is confidential or secluded, it can improve results because the people who are rejecting this will not know and cannot inflict more damage on the person. However, if the person who is suffering keeps quiet and isolates themselves from outside help, it can lead to even worse effects, says Joanna Cannon. In conclusion, peer rejection has many unwanted effects such as depression, musculoskeletal pain, and irregular behaviors. There are no long-term solutions to this, but the best way to deal with it is by trying to get mentally over it or seeking help from other people, despite its downsides. Thank you.
So Ryan, what information did you need that you couldn't find?
So originally I was researching about peer pressure, and I wanted to find out more about why, like how I stated in the beginning, why people change the way they want, the way that they present themselves to certain people. Like if they were to present themselves to a teacher, they would do so differently than their friends. So I was not able to find that, so I had to use other resources and a different idea to get what I needed.
Okay, and then finally, how did you use the conclusions of other people to advance your own research?
So, for example, Henrik Jair, she talked about the musculoskeletal pain, and when I found out about this and how when it affects the nerves, it slows down cognitive processing, and this can have a long-term effect. I was able to find that I was able to take this and say that that adolescents do have long-term effects due to peer rejection.
Okay, thank you.